Hello, hello.
Hey everyone.
How's
Hey
everyone?
Neil.
Hey, how you doing, Andrew? How you doing? Another episode, another day. Yeah,
That's
some
right.
transformations. Woo!
On social media, right?
Social media, yeah. You
Yeah.
see,
We're
this is
we're about to
this.
make some 24 karat magic happen, right?
Oh yeah, this background is where Elon Musk is gonna now be checking everyone here on Earth. He's gonna checking everyone here with your tweets or tweeting. So I don't know if
Exactly.
you're gonna want to keep tweeting. He's gonna read everything that you said. He's gonna know who you are. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, you cannot track his airplane anymore. You had to stop that.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg wants to own the metaverse, right? And Elon
Mhm.
Musk wants to own the universe here.
Exactly, the whole universe. The whole universe. So we have really cool transformations today related to tweets, actually social media. So we decided to use Twitter. Very everybody's talking about that right now. So hopefully everybody will enjoy that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And Emil, let's talk just for a second here
Mhm.
about kind of what's your background with social media and like marketing, so you can share
Yes.
with everyone like if
Yeah,
they have any
so if
questions.
you have if actually, we work with a lot of clients that that are working with e-commerce. They want to get their e-commerce data into very clean, extracting that data probably from Adobe Analytics or any other tool like that, or Google Analytics or Google Services, anything that related to the funnel, the consumer funnel, where you have like maybe the page views up to the point where somebody's purchasing something from your website. So we help a lot of clients with things like this. And I used to work at Comcast Universal NBC here in the theme parks in Orlando, working many years in data related to web analytics, especially creating visualizations and solutions that help take better decisions when you're talking about how can I improve my funnel, how can I make more online sales, very specific on online sales. Yeah, great information, amazing content. I love that type of data. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because I mean, as we kind of talk about it, there's so many social aspects
Hmm.
that come into play here, right? When we talk about any business. So I'll give you an example. I used to work at a vitamin e-commerce company, and like, you know who the number one person is that would actually crush it in terms of uh, getting a product to fly off the shelves and make it like a one-hit wonder?
What is the company? I think Amazon.
Yeah, well, on Amazon, that's where a lot of
Amazon.
the items would sell. But who do you think was like one of the top influencers from a social perspective?
Hmm, not sure. Anybody in the chat? I'm not 100% sure. You have any actual influencer?
An actual influencer.
Well,
So
Elon Musk is an actual influencer.
yeah, think old school. Dr. Oz. Like he would
Oh,
talk
that's right.
about like, hey,
Yeah.
here's a vitamins, right? Here's a cleanse or a book, right? And he'd be discussing it, and boom, literally the next day, things would kind of blow up. So as you
Wow.
kind of talk about what makes these rocket ships throughout this,
Mhm.
right? You can see those everywhere. And I mean, as we kind of talk about this, we've had a lot of these influential pieces, especially as we talk about like the democratization of um, finances, right?
Mhm.
So investing with like Robinhood, you have instances where even the large investment firms
Mhm.
actually got stuck with losses in relation to uh, gaming and all that, right? So as we look at those different companies, there's plenty of opportunity where you can kind of see the masses kind of swaying things, which totally throws off all those algorithms, right? So you have to make sure that subject matter experts are kind of interpreting that and involved in the processes.
Mhm.
And I think one of the big ones is obviously the Twitter sphere, right? And
Exactly.
become even better is Elon Musk's goal is to try and help make it open source, right? So
Exactly. No, that would be awesome. I think now the funny part is it's gonna be more data to transform, more data to connect, more data to get here to be able to analyze. I mean, there's no way this is gonna go low. I think that what I was very excited, tomorrow, for example, and some people may know this, we have another show, the three charts at 3 p.m. is gonna be about social media too. But what I was very excited of coming here is there is no way that you cannot do those visualizations tomorrow if you don't do a good job with transformations, right? So there's no way. And the reason is, Andrew, because of my experience is that think about it. If you have, for example, here in my hand, you have multiple data sources to be able to analyze this type of data, because you can have Twitter, Facebook, right? We can keep going. I don't know. Maybe you have what else? TikTok. Who knows? And then you have your maybe the Adobe Analytics or Google Analytics or something, and now
yeah,
you have maybe something else from your company. Now you're talking about 4, 5, 6, 7 data sources that you have to combine, transform, clean. Then you can do something with that data. So this is not an easy data to deal with. You need some of these tools. You need some of these tools because there's no way you can do this in Excel. No
yeah,
way. No
exactly.
way. No
Yeah,
way. And then the other thing is this type of data, it keep evolving. So new tools are coming in. For example, let's say that you're doing like what we're doing right now, like you're doing a live show or doing something on LinkedIn, right? That's another social media outlet. And now you want to know who watched your videos and YouTube. Who you want to know who went to your webinars. Then you have another data source now that you have to combine all of that to see what media that you're using it's working for you to sell these products. So we're talking about incredible amount of data, very confusing, and you have to have some of this specific tools to work on it. There's no other way, I think. And you probably have surveys too. So um,
exactly. This is a lot of qualitative information, and
mhm,
I mean, as we kind of talk about this, like one of the exciting pieces from a
mhm,
transformation perspective that I look at is natural language processing.
mhm, mhm,
Um, so I mean, that's actually a huge piece. Which now, when we're talking about that, I'll even grab a workflow
mhm.
that we can touch on for a brief minute there.
Yeah.
Uh, One that I was actually discussing the other day. So yeah, let me do this. I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen
Yeah,
here.
please. Mhm.
Um, yeah, give it just a
And if
second.
anybody, like this is tough data, it can be confusing. Hey, let us know. We're here to help you in data meeting. We have incredible amount of talent that works with this data. So let
Yeah.
us know.
Yeah, so this workflow is actually just a Twitter download tool, right? That I was able to find. So literally, you have Twitter API connectivity, right? This is a publicly available connector from Alteryx on the community. And then literally, you just need these keys. So I'm gonna have to change them, obviously, because I'm posting them up here publicly. But as we look at this, right, you can put your app name in here, and then literally this just allows you to pull in and do a keyword search, right? Then as you kind of look at this, you're going to see, okay, now that we got this situated, we're going to come in, um, and this is what I like about it, Alteryx, is right now we're really using this for one key, right?
Mhm, mhm,
To bring this in and then download the tweets. But
mhm.
if we had a bunch of different accounts or a bunch of different keywords that need to be searched, I really appreciate Alteryx's ability to kind of run these in batches or all together so you can aggregate this information. And this happens with a lot of social media accounts, right? You may have multiple lines of business or multiple pages, right? Or may even be extracting from like partnership related pages, right? So if you're in like retail or CPG, I was just talking with someone a couple days ago, right, where literally we were discussing, hey, we sell our products everywhere, and all of our retailers would actually, from this technology company, right? We would like to understand how they're going about selling them. What are their other preferences, right? So we can help assist them from a better marketing perspective. And this is some of the ways that they were doing this was grabbing social aspects as well as the information related to sales, etc. So as this comes in, right, with Twitter, you do the initial query, and then it comes in as a full JSON portion, right? And then we go ahead and process from there. And then these tools are fairly basic, right, in regards to how they execute, but you can do some sentiment analysis, right?
Mhm.
So the topic that I picked, just because it's really trending today, right, is about Elon Musk. So I wanted to see, hey, what does that sentiment look like overall, right? So are people really enjoying that? Is it
Mhm.
primarily negative, right? So as we kind of look at this, that was really what I was focused on, and you can see it's overall it's trending and it's okay. You've got some wherever like it's straight up neutral, or it may even be a little positive or a little negative.
Okay.
So when I look at that overall, right? So what are we what are we seeing? So most people are neutral. It's a little more negative, right? And then a handful of positives on the one that I pulled here. And then when we try and understand, right,
Mhm.
what some of the keywords are, this allows us to kind of examine some of that sentiment, right? Um, and then you can kind of see, okay, what are some of the other things that they're saying, right? And I'll be interested to kind of see how this really takes off for him, and then how it's trending, because this is actually uh, global sentiment that we're looking at. And then what's interesting is you look at from a locale perspective, right? This one was defaulted to New York already, but if
Mhm.
we look at uh, this, right, you can see some other words and stuff here. So
Mm. So
um,
this is just filter for one for very specific location, so you can do like a very specific location. That's
yeah,
cool.
you can drill down. So in this case, this workflow, I just left it this way and just changed the topic, but
Uh-huh.
literally it was New York, right? Staten Island.
Mm-hmm.
How does everybody in New York feel about um, Elon Musk buying Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could probably go more local for him and do like Texas or California, right? And see if
Uh-huh.
we have a different sentiment. And it's kind of interesting to see, does that play out from a geographical perspective?
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, honestly, when we kind of look at those transformations, I'm not the biggest fan of the word clouds just because it takes a little bit to kind of process them.
Mm-hmm.
So what I probably want to see here in the future is like, what are those keywords? And then as we look to the future from an NLP perspective, right, I'd probably combine it a little bit more with like this workflow, right? So this one's actually, this is called,
Call center, yeah.
yeah. So this kind of talks about what you were discussing earlier, Emil, where, hey, there's different ways that we can get this information. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is this uses a platform called Veritone, which has AIware related tools, right?
Mm.
And then think of them as being like an aggregator of all the machine learning algorithms across all the different platforms. So AWS, right? Google BigQuery, um, Azure, as well as like some from IBM and stuff. And as we kind of talk about those, right, this is literally taking files, and these files are MP4 files, right? And then as we kind of move through this, what you'll notice with these files, right,
Mm-hmm.
is then it's literally going in and separating out the speech of each person in
Mm-hmm.
the file. So it can say, hey, this is Elon's voice, right? And then maybe he did an interview with someone else. Those aspects are social media. And right now, we're looking at social media as all being written text, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could just as easily be, hey, what did Elon Musk say in that interview whenever he was talking about buying Twitter, right? There was
Mhm.
maybe some more depth there in regards to what he was trying to do, and you can
Mhm.
understand that comment as opposed to an off the cuff remark that only has 140 characters, right? Um,
Mhm.
and then when we look at this, right, it'll turn it into tabular data, and then like as we're looking all the way down here, right, it can do some much more granular sentiment analysis, and then even do classification of that text.
Mhm.
So I almost look at this being in tiers, right? And we always have to analyze social media in this way. So maybe you'll just get with this, hey, Elon Musk buying Twitter is cool, right?
Mhm.
Or how dare he buy it, right? And
Mhm.
those simple comments. But if you have a more complex statement, right, like you were talking about, maybe a Facebook post or LinkedIn post, that could
Mhm.
be an entire paragraph. And we want to gather and accumulate what that compound sentiment is, right, to do a
Mhm.
better analysis. And then that's really when we're kind of looking at this, right? Um, if I were to change something about this, I would almost weight some of those sentiments, right?
Mhm.
So part of that weight could be, hey, how many followers does this individual have? Obviously, Elon's himself, you may want to exclude that. Just
Mhm.
he has a lot of followers, right?
80, yeah, 83 million or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you may be curious about who's actually commenting on his posts, right?
Mhm.
So what's the weight of those individuals in terms of the interpretation? Do you see a bunch of people kind of cheering him on, right? Do they all think he's doing like 24 karat magic there, right? Um,
Mhm.
or is there something else going on, right? And I think that's the exciting piece as we look at this is there's lots of different ways to interpret that. So if I were sharing this, I would want to add that data science layer, right? Or almost do like an optimization to understand, hey, if I had dollars here where I was sharing a post, right, and I wanted to proliferate that, which dollars are going to be most successful?
Um,
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about this a little bit. Emil, I know you have a cool workflow that you wanted to share as well, right?
yeah, soon. Yeah, but I wanted to ask you a couple of things here. So how
Sure.
do when this workflow excludes? So you have the long, the tweet, and I imagine you're excluding a lot of things from the tweet and just keeping those words. How do you do that here? How do you configure that tool, or does that by itself, or how does that work?
Yeah, so as it's kind of going through, right? Obviously, we're just going to do some JSON parsing,
Mhm.
which will
Mhm.
kind of break apart what the text is, right? So you can even see like a retweet here. Um, and then as we kind of split those columns out, right, you'll notice, oh, okay, what is the text specifically? Um, And then as we're reconfiguring that data, right,
Mhm.
that'll help you understand maybe where this user is located,
Mm.
what the specific text that they were trying to share, right? And then this will even remove like um, some of the website links, etc. So you can kind of escape those. They're just sharing a specific link, right? And then as we kind of look at those particular tweets, you have the text analysis itself,
Okay, I
looking at
see.
this information, right? And in some cases, what I would even do is you may want to pull out specifically, hey, what are the other hashtags that are related to Elon Musk,
Mm.
right? And then as we also look at that, maybe the people's names, because that's the one
Mhm.
thing that I caught here in regards to this workflow, right? These are actually a lot of other handles
Mhm.
that are commenting here, right? So I
Mhm.
would definitely want to be able to extract that information out so I could better understand as I'm looking at this, right? So if this is positive sentiment, what is it they're saying? So that's where I would get excited. I mean, literally, you've got the onion posting here, right? So you have a lot of people who have some heavy followers. And then in this regard, right, I could literally look at the positive and negative in regards to that.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So probably some of the best tools to use for the parsing of sentiment analysis, regex, right? Because you got a lot of
Exactly.
special characters in here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can use the formatting, right? So you know that tweets will always be kind of in the same format, like with the retweets up front.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also parse out the handles, right, because of the at symbol. So you
Mm-hmm.
can extract that information out and distill it down to where you get just the text itself, and then you have all that meta information that's available to you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's some of the stuff that I'm going to show, which is I call it. I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, actually, hold on. I'm gonna share my screen. So I call this, Andrew, kind of like imagine that you have something very light to do, like kind of like an ad hoc project that
Mm.
contains, let's say, 300 lines, 1,000. So what you show is something to scale, right? Something that is automate. You can automate something that is completely in scale. Something that
Yeah.
you're going into Twitter itself. But let's say that this is someone, if you're out there that your marketing people or somebody that from your company send you an Excel file with, let's say, 1,000 lines of complaints of Twitter, and so somebody go into Twitter, push it here, and this is just a very small example. And this is just think about this as a store called Acme or company, and this is what you got. You got 1,000. It's just an ad hoc, something very quick. And
Yeah.
then what do you do with it? They want the keywords out of these tweets, right? The
Yeah.
specific keywords for those complaints. Now, you think about it, you're gonna have you can do this in Excel, but it's gonna take you a long time. So we're gonna use today Tableau Prep to do it, which is kind of like we can prep this data, we can get what we want, like I said, in a not at a larger scale like Alteryx, right? But we can do some of this work really quick. And maybe you just want to put this on a dashboard or something like that. So that works great. So
Yeah.
the output, I'm going to show you the output and what is in the middle. The output will be this. We're going to have the tweets kind of like this. And then we want this column number 8. This is just the words, the keywords, right? So how do we get this? And we don't need to use Excel. Now, we're going to need a file like this. This is common English words that we're going to join to be able to extract those the specific words. So I'm going to show you now in Tableau Prep how this works. But that's is the output. The final output is this column right here, number 8. Okay.
Okay.
So and then, like I said, is this just like an ad hoc project, something simple, something that you can probably do in an hour or so, something quick. So the first thing we're gonna do is we have here that very specific file that I show you, the Excel file, and this is, for example, how you can view the data. Just to give you an idea, this is some of the ones that we saw there in the Excel. And the first thing that we need to do is we're gonna split all of those words, okay? With a
Mm.
calculator field here, we're gonna split all the words with the space. And then so we're gonna look at the tweet. Every time that there is a space, we're gonna do that. We're gonna space it out. We're gonna split. And there's multiple ways that you can do this, but this is just one way.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna pivot the words. That's it. That's simple. Pivot the splits to columns into a single field. And then now we're gonna go and start doing what you just said, removing the handle. We're gonna remove the Acme handle, right? Exactly what you said. Because then we know that it has an Acme, so we know that we're gonna take that out. And then we're gonna start cleaning these words. So how we do that? We have multiple things. Let's look at the first one that Andrew was talking about, and this is the reject. So we got here this reject, replace, and
Mm.
then this is just part of the cleaning, right? Like what Andrew was talking about. Do you wanted to say something about this one, Andrew? And then
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, this is the part that always gets me excited and what I think the show highlights, right? If you learn some things like regex, it's gonna apply no matter what transformation tool you're learning, right? So there's some of these commonalities. I think you may look at it as, hey, I get a leg up, or, oh man, I really do have to study this because it's not going away, right? So just make sure you keep an eye on some of these things. Like even these formulas are super common, and you'll see them shared across platforms, and it's extremely helpful.
Got it.
So
And then, so what we're doing here is multiple cleanings, we're doing punctuations, we're cleaning, we're doing some different calculated fields, right, to clean this data. And soon you're gonna see what is cool about it. And so we keep removing fields and words and things out of the tweet. And then now we're going to the part where it says recover words. So what is this? So we pivot any split fields back into a single field and remove any empty rows. That's what we're doing here, right? But now look at this on the top. We're gonna bring in all those common English words, right? And then we're gonna join that so that we can clean everything that is just very common, so we can have that single word. So using a left outer join to filter out any words of the 250 most common English words. So we're joining those two, right? And then we can get that output at the end.
nice.
So, and then we can get that output. And like I said, this is more like, hey, you may don't have other tools like Alteryx or something like that, or you just needs to do something quick. It's just an Excel file. You want to do something really fast. You can do something like this, and you just take it through this process, clean it. You can automate it. So the cool thing about this is if someone next week send you another complaints file, you just attach it here, like at the beginning. Look at this. I can browse anything I want. I can go there, find it, right? I can go here and say, okay, let me get the other one, run it, and then you're done, and you don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
So you can keep using this over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the part that we forget sometimes, right? Is this is how processes start? Is they start as like an ad hoc request, right? And really, the catch that I tell everyone is just make sure you save off the workflow, because sometimes there's even, oh man, I solved that problem in this particular way, right, with a design pattern, and then you can use this methodology, right, and like steal like an artist. You could even steal these ideas from yourself, right, and then literally, hey, solve this exact same problem, maybe looking at a different tweet, right, or a different handle, and say, hey, Elon Musk is really cool, right? What does Bill Gates have to say? What does maybe Jeff Bezos, right? Or is anybody else going to go out and buy one of the social media giants here?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So we got 69 words. Just wanted to keep that in mind. We got 69 words that will tell us, very specific, and you can see some here of this company of the complaints and glitter, hate, bubble, I don't know, beer, maybe it smell like beer or whatever. So things like that. I mean, it's coming back, and then you have those keywords of those complaints, and maybe you can figure out, okay, I have my product, and I see, let's say, everybody hates this specific color, nobody likes the color, or they're having problems with this specific things or features about my product. And you can use this, send it to marketing people. They can change the way that we're marketing this, or the way that whoever is doing something with the product, like the way that they're using it, or maybe you can just create a new product. So it's a very simple thing. This flow, I would say, will take you maybe an hour, but the cool thing is after you've done it once, then you can keep reusing it.
Exactly.
So that's the key here. So
yeah, when we talk about that, like sentiment analysis, right? You can start off again super basic, and then I think as you free up time, right? Even if this is getting injected slowly into your organization, understanding what it is outside, right? If you're just using, let's say, survey data, for instance, right? How many of those responses are you going to get compared to tweets, right? Or Yelp reviews, right? When we talk about social media, I think a lot of us just associate that just the channels where we communicate with each other, right? sometimes those venues are literally just used for reviews straight up. And like if you're a tech company, right, that may be on like Stack Overflow
Hmm.
as an example. So maybe you don't have the most robust community environment. So then
Hmm.
you'll see those generic community environments filling that void. And that can help you understand, hey, what are maybe some of the common problems that people ask, right? Maybe they're not seeing that information on the community. You can kind of help curate some of that information and then broadcast it generally from a marketing perspective, right? Or even solicit that feedback more directly, right?
Correct. Correct. Exactly. So this could be, for example, in this case, I was just thinking when I was doing this, let's say that you are the HR person in your company and you have, let's say, 500 employees, right? I know we're not talking about 10,000 but 500, and you send them a email with a survey link from SurveyMonkey for feedback about something. Then you're getting that feedback. Hey, you can put it here through this flow, and then you can get those keywords. That's simple. So something like that can help you instead of you trying to figure, because you're not going to be able to read all the 300 or 400 responses from those surveys. If they're like, they're grading all their feedback or providing their feedback, maybe you can run it through here, and at least you can get those keywords of what is the most important things that they want to provide to the company or want to say to the company, and maybe you can see some of them are the same keywords. So something like that, it can help you out. Something simple. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what we're getting to, right? Is starting to understand what those keywords are.
Mm-hmm.
And NLP is actually improving quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have some of those tools that you can use, right? The publicly available libraries to kind of accomplish that, right? It could be anything from Spacey, right, which um, would help you use Pi in that case, or sorry, not Pi, Python.
Mm-hmm.
um, so as we're kind of looking at utilizing Python, you can use
Mm-hmm.
those open source methodologies. You can use the stuff that's baked in within the platform, and then you can even use these third parties that are pay as you go, right? So as you work up that development curve, especially when it comes to social media analytics, right? You just want to be conscious of cost. So maybe you just start by proving, hey, there is value here, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
access to data. In general, we can understand what our sentiment is, right? Or maybe there's only 10 keywords that exist here, right? And they're all good. Well, now at least you know what you could be focusing on and you can extract that ROI. But if the sentiment is more complex, then you can kind of work your way up the curve um, to understand better what it is that you offer.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the good thing about this type of data. It's that there's so much you can do with it, and you can analyze this data with other data. That's what I like about social media data. It's like you can take all those social media data. I'm gonna transform it, and I'm gonna join this with my sales data. I'm gonna join this with my marketing media data. I want to join this with whatever it is to see what is the impact of other things on social media, on how is all this together, right? And that you can see the big picture of what you need to do to keep improving. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think, is there anything else you want to add in today, Emil, before we wrap?
No, I think if anybody have any questions, but what type of social media data are you using or helping out or transforming? We also forgot maybe to talk about, like, when we have this type of data, how can you solve this demographics data in conjunction with this data, right? Mapping, demographics. I mean, there's so much you can do with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely demographics are important
Hmm.
anytime you're talking about marketing,
Hmm.
because you want to do some of that segmentation to understand,
Hmm.
right? Because that's how we market to people and understand target market. So, as an example, um, Teslas, right? They may not be target market for somebody who lives further out, like a farmer, right? Because that's further out in the country. They're probably going to have to drive longer distances, right? Um, they already have other vehicles that they're maintaining, right? So as we kind of look at those aspects at play, there may be different target markets that we're specifically focused on, maybe just from an infrastructure perspective, right?
Mhm.
For the amount of countryside that we're going to need to populate, we may not be able to put, for in Elon Musk's sake, right? We may not be able to put charging stations all along the way, right? The
Mhm.
same will be true like going to Mars, right?
Mhm.
How many people are going to be interested in that as opposed to going to Pluto?
Mhm.
It's going to be much
Mhm.
cheaper if I told you, hey, it's going to take you 30 years to get there, Emil, right?
Mhm.
That that sentiment may be a little different. And when we talk about enrichment, there are tools that are along the way that can make that much faster and closer to home, right? And that information typically is all centered around geography. So I would make
Mhm.
sure if you're even just collecting this data today, focus on collecting geographical factors, right?
Mhm.
Because that can even just help you map some of this out, right? Um, and that's why you see stuff like polling related to politics, etc.
Mhm.
It's all kind of done in those maps, and they can use the geocoding to kind of associate that information together, right, and do the triangular. And then that helps you understand because anytime you're doing social media, surveys, etc., that is all a sample of the population. So, I mean, you can definitely get an understanding that we know what we're talking about in regards to some of these aspects. And I mean, as we kind of talk about what's near and close to us, right, and immediate sentiment here at Data Meaning, right, our NPS score, we do analysis on that here internally, right, and then we even do fun analysis like next week in a galaxy far, far away. We're going to be
Yeah.
talking about Star Wars.
Mhm.
So you can see we really cover the full spectrum,
Mhm.
and I'm excited to see how what we do over the next couple of weeks is going to tie into all the speaking we'll be doing at Inspire, right?
Yeah.
So Ultrix conference, as well as Tableau conference,
Conference.
both the week of the 16th. So I definitely recommend checking out our sessions. If you
Yeah.
that like or love button, right, you can see a list of those sessions if you're following us
Mhm.
uh, on LinkedIn or on YouTube. We've shared some of those out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thank you,
Awesome.
everybody. Happy Tuesday. Don't forget to check us out tomorrow, where we'll be talking more about social
Social
media
media.
and see
Social
some
media visualizations. Yeah.
tied
Thank
together.
you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.